Okay, so it's exactly 10 p.m. A warm welcome and a very good evening to all of you on Team Call tonight. We have a very exciting guest who is on call. And if you've yet to know who he is, tonight you're going to know lots about him. He's going to get really personal, share lots of stuff, and you don't want to miss that out. But before we get all that into details, I'd like to share with you some announcements. So if I'll just share the screen with you. Okay. So we have this team call on every Monday night, 10 p.m. And it's 30 minutes of social proof where we will share top leaders within the company, will share their experience in the business, how they have achieved success, how they have overcome even obstacles and difficulties, challenges in the business, and that you're going to find yourself really learning so much from these calls. So for those of you who have always been on the call, well done. And those of you who are new, I'm glad you're on the call. You don't want to miss this. Put this on your alarm and on your phone so that it reminds you every Monday, 10 p.m. to call in. We also have our resources website, www.onebigteaminternational.com. That's where you get lots of resources, videos, information about the business, and how you can be engaged in the trainings that we have. We've got a calendar on the website as well. So do add your team, for those of you who are new and you've not been on our closed Facebook group. Get your leaders and your team to add you onto the Facebook. Also subscribe to One Big Team TV YouTube channel, where you will be updated on the latest videos that we will post up for you. Also do download your Dream Trips apps. It's available on iOS and also Android, and that's where you can browse and look through thousands of Dream Trips that's available. You can also be in touch with Dream Trip members all across the globe and to see where they've been holidaying, get in touch with them. And of course, not to forget, on the app itself, you will also be able to find out more about Dream Trip Locals, start dining and earning points, and earn yourself for your next holiday. So go to your welcome dream trip tool for those of you who are new and you have not booked your dream trip. Within the first 90 days of you joining, if you book a welcome dream trip, you will be entitled to a really special prize on top of the already great prize that we offer for our dream trips. So the best way to really experience and know, what dream trip is all about, to maximize your membership, is to really quickly book on one of these welcome dream trips so that you will be, able to share with your friends, on social media, how life has been amazing for you ever since you've come aboard as a member. And our calls and webinars are all recorded and archived into onebigteaminternational.com website. All right, so without further ado, I just want to welcome our host, our guest speaker for tonight, okay? And I'm honored, really, really glad to be able to be, having, Dr. Wu Yiche on call. Now, he's our Asia's 002, also our $1 million ring earner. He's a retired dental surgeon, as we all know. And right now, he's traveling every month for vacation around the world with his dear wife, Phoebe, and his son, Thaddeus. He's a devoted father and also a devoted husband. So without further ado, please join me to welcome our really, really dear Asia's 002, Dr. Wu.
Hi,
Dr.
guys.
Wu.
You guys can hear me? Am I loud and clear?
Yes.
I would like to think I am.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, yes. Glad to be on this call. Thank you, Glynis, for inviting me on. I must admit, it's been a while since I was on a Zoom call with a whole bunch of people.
Exactly.
So really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you made time for us, and I'm excited to just get all in, for you to share with our members here, because I know that the last when you're on call, ever since then, we've got so many new members who came on board. So many would have probably missed you on the first call. So we all know you as Asia's 002, but for the benefit of those new members on this call tonight, can you share with us, how did you get started with WorldVentures?
Well, I think we will just very quickly to clarify that I'm 002 on the basis of James Lee being 001. So the first person he enrolled was me. However, I must also say that we weren't actually the first bunch of people. As far as we know, there were a whole bunch of people who joined WorldVentures even before James, I think a year prior to that. But why James is 001 and therefore means I'm 002 is because he was the first one that did anything that really went full on into the whole platform. So, and essentially what he did was he got started, I remember 31st of August, that's what he told me. And he joined on September 11, of all days, September 11. He did nothing for 3 days. And on the 14th of September 2010, now I will never ever forget that date. You know, I mean, I think for some of you on this call, don't ever forget the date you joined, because after a while, when you become really, really successful, that becomes part of your history, your WorldVentures history. So I saw the Gumball video on the 14th of September 2010. I joined 1 week later. I didn't sign up straight away. So for those of you who are thinking, oh no, I got to sign up my friend the first time after I showed to them. No, that's not always the case. So it took me 7 days for me to get started. And in that time, I must also tell you that I was also at that point in time broke. I was about $500,000 in debt. Well, because of other failed businesses that I was involved in. And I was working as a dental surgeon to pay off that debt. Now, I was a dental surgeon. I was a practicing dental surgeon, but I could see that I wasn't going to be a dentist for a long period of time. And why? Because after 8 years, I was kind of sick and tired of breathing in bad breath for a living. So after a while, I wanted to do something else. So, yeah, James sent me the video. I saw it. I didn't sign up straight away. He called me back like 3 times in the course of the week. And I probably just signed up just to get him on my back, because I figured, hey, I was already $500,000 in debt. Another couple more $100 to get started with WorldVentures wasn't going to make that much of a difference. And I liked the idea that I saw from the Gumball video. So I said, okay, screw it, I'm in. So that's how I got started.
Thanks for sharing, Dr. Wu. And of course, we all know that you are now the retired dental surgeon. But coming from, a family, where the backgrounds, a lot of them are doctors, did you at any point, feel a need to conform, to continue with the family's legacy? And what kind of pressure did you have to go through, and how did you overcome that to pursue what you truly wanted in your heart?
Well, I think yes, I come from a family of doctors. So for those uninitiated, that would be my dad, 2 uncles, an aunt, and 2 cousins. So there was 2 GPs, 1 anesthesiologist, 1 pediatrician, 1 ENT surgeon, PhD in pharmacy, and I was the only dental surgeon. So, and add to that, my mom was also a nurse. Wow. So it was kind of like the family business to go into healthcare, because, I think all of us, I think at the age of 15, 14, you're almost forced to decide what you want to study in school, because that will dictate the subjects you study when you go to junior college, or for that matter, polytechnic to get your diploma, and that again will decide what you study in university. So, coming from a family of doctors, that seemed to be the route that I was headed down. But if you think about it logically, how is it possible that we know what we want to do for the rest of our lives at the age of 14 or 15? So a lot of times, I think the families put undue pressure on their children, basically because parents don't know any better. Now, that's not to say that we're blaming our parents, not at all. It's just the way things are. It's the same, not just in Singapore, but anywhere in the world. It's the same. So, but after a while, the problem is most people, you tend to kind of resign yourselves to what you study. And you end up just going with the flow. And actually, a lot of people, if you really ask them, do they like what they're doing? They will tell you yes. But if you've met enough people, you'll know that after a while, they're not really telling the truth. They say that they enjoy what they're doing because they have to justify the decisions they made, and to justify not doing something else. Because doing what they really like to do can seem almost crazy. If they admit that they're not happy, then they're forced to do something. They're forced to get uncomfortable. So when you ask a lot of people whether they like really what they do, they say yes because they want to justify that they're feeling comfortable, everything's hunky dory. But that's not the case. But in my case, I guess after a while, the pressure became to conform became ridiculous to the point whereby I said to myself, hey, I wasn't happy. I had to admit it to myself. And I had to take the very uncomfortable step of doing something completely different. At which point of time, when I kind of announced it to my parents, I almost got disowned by my dad. So, yeah, I was almost kicked out of the house, basically. So that was huge. And that's not to say that I want you guys to get involved with quarrels with your family, but you know, I had to do what I had to do because I knew that, first of all, as a child, my family wants me to be happy. I mean, you want all your family members to be happy, but you have to do really what makes you truly happy. And when you do so, and you pursue what you really want to do, you almost invariably become successful because you really like what you're doing. And when you really when you're happy, that's when your family kind of like, oh wow, he's happy. But that's the uncomfortable hurdle that we all have to overcome.
Yeah, but I can only imagine that it's so tough in the beginning because you're a doctor, your family's members are all doctor, and you're not talking about changing a profession like from a dental surgeon to like being an engineer, you know, but you decided to start something, you know, to go into something that is completely unheard of in Asia. You know, nobody knows if it's going to work at that point of time. So the pressure must be, you know, crazy, you know, but the fruit of the labor, and at the end of it, because you just reminded me, and I hope it reminds all of us too, that this whole journey of entrepreneurship requires courage, you know, and to make a change like that, you know, calls for courage, you know, for you to be able to have that faith to say that, okay, you know, make the switch, you know, bear whatever consequences, you know, but at least you know that you're going to pursue what you're passionate in your heart for. So obviously it paid off for you. And speaking of family, you know, we can see how you light up when you're spending time with your son, Thaddeus. He's turning into this little mini you now. You know, but many do not know that, you know, both you and Phoebe had gone through a very traumatic season in your family life when you are building the WorldVentures business. Can you share with us what happened?
Well, what happened was, the day I started WorldVentures was actually the day I got married, practically. I started in, 21st September, but it didn't really take root until the 6th of December 2010. That's when actually, you know, I asked Phoebe and I, you know, if we consulted a feng shui master, and the 6th of December was a good day to get married. But what we then decided was, okay, we'll work very hard on WorldVentures first, make our money. The plan was to retire as quickly as possible, to become financially free as quickly as possible, so that we could start a family. Now that happened and it worked, and we had a family. But in the course of my wife's first pregnancy, literally, I think 1 week before we were due to deliver, we lost our baby, our first son. So actually, Thaddeus is my second boy. So as you can imagine, that was incredibly traumatic, more so for my wife, as you know, I understand that women tend to take it harder because you have the baby within you. It was a huge blow emotionally. And the thing is this, I'm certainly not the only, me and Phoebe are certainly not the only ones that have gone through it. We know, I mean, after we found out that what we went through, a lot of people have gone through it. But the key is, what happened was we had to check out, you know. So back then my wife was still working, but I told her, hey, look, that's when I told her, you're going to quit your job. We're going to go off the grid and disappear for, the plan was to be about a month, or as however long it took. We needed about a month. So we kind of went off the grid. We didn't take any phone calls. And it was a very trying time because you need time to recover from a huge emotional blow.
Definitely.
And we went off the grid. We traveled quite a bit, but the reason why we could do that was because of WorldVentures. Because once you build up to a certain critical mass, that's when the business starts taking over and it kind of runs on its own. And we were still earning really, really good income. And whereupon, you know, my wife had the decision of, do you want to continue being retired or do you want to go back to work? She decided, hey, no, let's focus on our WorldVentures business. And I mean, if you look back, we were really thankful for the WorldVentures, this platform, because it enabled us really, really give us time to recover emotionally. And then of course, we had kids and kind of things has worked out very well. So we know that if anybody here, goes through such emotional turmoil, guess what? You just have to focus on recovery, look after yourself, and then help other people do the same. And we're thankful that WorldVentures allows us to do that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing so personally with us, because I know that's something that, so close to your heart, but yet you choose to be really open and, allow us into this journey so that all of us can take something away from it too. And the reason why, I wanted you to share about that, because that gives a backdrop for me, to go on to the next question to ask you, because like you said, whatever you've gone through, no one will wish that upon anybody, but life is made up of so many of such pain, disappointments, and moments where we ask ourselves, is this all going to be worth it? How did you push through your worst times? Can you share with us?
Well, I think both financially, emotionally, you've got your back against the wall. And I know that even there are people on this call, or there are a lot of our friends out there, a lot of people have actually got their backs against the wall. They're very troubled emotionally, financially, spiritually. And I think in our situation, because our backs are against the wall, there was no turning back. There was no way we could go back to where we were, what we were doing before. And the only way is forward. So and there's the expression, if you're deep in a hole, stop digging. So, but what we also realized was that it was really much a mindset thing. I know that word gets thrown around a lot. It's almost a cliche, but the mindset thing is very important. And we started focusing, we stopped focusing on our problems, and we started focusing on the solution. Now that's easier said than done, and therein lies the trick. To focus on the solution and to keep at it to the point whereby you keep focusing on it until you solve the problem. Unfortunately, I do not know of anyone who's in any industry who's become successful because they've never gone through any problems. Almost everyone I know has gone through some degree of massive emotional, financial heartache. Yeah. So now I do not wish upon anyone to have to go through what we went through, but sometimes I wonder, maybe people on this call or people I know may have to go through a major turmoil in order for you to have that breakthrough in life and in business.
Yes. And you only know how strong, humanly we can actually push through sometimes like this, only when you're put in a circumstance like this, right, that you are tested. And then you realize,
only when you're under real pressure do you find out how strong you really are. So if you're going through right now, to all those on this call, if you're going through right now, let's say the universe is testing you. They're testing you whether you're worthy enough to be awarded the gifts that life will so willingly bestow upon you. That's the way I look at it.
Great. So let's get on to the topic for tonight, money, okay? Being the $1 million ring earner, I'm sure you get asked all the time.
My favorite
money.
topic.
Your favorite topic, great. So many people will always ask you how to make money, right? But today we're going to get you to share about how to make money work for you. So I personally heard you share on this before, and I know it's not just a textbook teaching for you, but something that's really close to your heart and a value that you hold deep. So what do you exactly mean when you say that we must all make money work for us?
Well, in my process of climbing out of my near bankruptcy, my incredible debt, I started adopting a different mindset because I realized the way I was thinking was going down the wrong road. So I attended different courses and programs and read different books. And after a while, I realized that money really is a form of energy, and we're all made up of energy. And what I was taught was you start treating each dollar as a soldier that would fight for you, fight for your freedom, for your success, for your lifestyle. So we must be careful not to give away. It's like we are the general of our own army. We got to be careful not to give away our soldiers to fight for someone else. So we got to keep our soldiers and grow our army. Which also means we must not fraudulently give our soldiers away and spend money unnecessarily. I started becoming very careful with, even when I meet a person, do I buy them a cup of coffee, the meals I eat, every now and then we like to think we want to indulge ourselves. Well, it came down to the point whereby my wife and I, we just stopped having expensive meals. We had very simple coffee shop, hawker center meals. We stopped drinking expensive coffee. We kind of cut down on Starbucks for a bit, because one cup of Starbucks is $5, but at the coffee shop it's $1.50 or $1.20. It made a difference, because when you start becoming very careful how you spend your money, that's when it's a signal. It's like a signal that goes on in the universe that says, hey, you're very careful how you spend your money, and therefore you will find that you will start to attract your money. Now, this is not a new concept. This is a concept that Robert Kiyosaki held. Warren Buffett also preaches this, all right? Do not spend your money unnecessarily. Only spend your money on things that spend money on personal development, spend money on income producing activity, but most of all, it's all about the personal development. Take whatever money you have and fill your head with knowledge and wisdom, and let the knowledge and wisdom then fill your wallets, because that is key. So, go for personal development, understand how to match money from people who have money, and you find that after a while, when you mix around with people who have money, you'll find that more often than not, they are very, very careful with every dollar, every cent, every dime. That's when you start sending a message out to the universe that says, hey, you are a good custodian of your money, and therefore you start attracting it. Now, it takes a while. It will take you months or maybe even a year or 2 years for that to happen. But if you're careful how of it, it will happen.
So it's just something that we have to start cultivating. And I just love it when, successful leaders like yourself talk so passionately about things like this, because we hardly hear about how people, businesses out there always talk about attracting, making the money, buying the things, pampering yourself, living in luxury, But what I love, always hearing from people like you guys is to talk about how you are not apologetic, about being prudent, because sometimes you feel a bit like, am I being so stingy, to be so calculative, and that's what the world tells us, right? But yet when you hear from successful people like yourself, hey, don't be apologetic about it. In fact, prudence is something, it's a virtue that I feel these days people don't preach so much about, but it's so important. It's one thing to make the money, but it takes a whole set of wisdom and, knowledge to make that money work for you. And I love it when you talk about how your monies are like soldiers and you have to fight for you. And spend on, in case you didn't catch that, for those of you out there, spend on personal development, spend on things that will be income generating activities for you. These are two things that should be of top priority. So if a person, after hearing this, is starting out on financial prudence for the first time tonight, what can he or she do? Are there any habits, cultivating new values, any golden rules that they should abide?
Well, I think it starts really from home, and even Warren Buffett had this philosophy. He said basically, if you start buying things that you don't need, you're eventually going to have to pay for it by selling the things that you do need. All right, let me say that again. If you start buying things that you don't need, you start having to pay for them by selling the things that you do need.
Powerful.
So the idea is before you buy anything, before you make any purchase, you ask yourself a simple question: do I really need this? All right. And if you don't, then don't buy it. So example, many years ago, I had I kind of spoiled my watch, and I wanted to buy a new one. And then I looked at it and I was like, okay, first of all, I was like, I'm not going to spend money on a watch, because a watch, a cheap Casio G-Shock, not going to cost more than $100. But at the time we still had our phones, and I was using my phone to keep time. But when I made a bit of money, I remember I made about $100,000 a year, I was like, okay, I'll reward myself. I got a ring, I'll reward myself, get a watch. Now the temptation was to get out and get a Rolex. But I was like, nah. Well, nothing more of a Rolex. I mean, if you guys got Rolexes, that's fine. I'm not saying
don't say your Rolex tonight.
That's bad, but I just said, no. I mean, if you got one, well, I'm just telling you what I did, right? So the temptation was going to get a Rolex, but I was like, hang on, I really like scuba diving, but so I'll buy a diving watch, and I found a very old classic Seiko diver's watch. Is a classic which I'm still wearing right now. That
Wow.
cost only $300. I was like, okay, I want to indulge a little bit, but not too much, as opposed to a Rolex that will cost you $7,000, $10,000. So about a $300 Rolex, like, which I'm still wearing today, and today is my only watch.
Amazing.
This probably is my only indulgence. And of course the ring I didn't even spend the money. The company gave it to me, but really that's my only indulgence. Along the way, you dress a bit nicer. So, but even I make sure when I dress up, everything is bought off a discount store. Whenever I have to travel for a WorldVentures event, which is a definite need to spend on because it's income producing activity, is personal development. But whenever I travel, I make sure I always go to the discount store or to the premium, the outlets to buy my stuff. So everything that I have, my suits, my ties, my shirts, my shoes, everything is bought off a discount store, because after a while, nobody's gonna know the difference. And there are actually very good quality things that you can buy at a very low price, but they don't have expensive brand. I mean, my pair of shoes, it's, I remember I went to what was it, Hugo Boss, and I went to a discount store to buy the shoes. They look exactly the same. It's just Hugo Boss cost $1,000. A pair of shoes cost $100. So it's like, you don't have to spend that much money. You can still look good without spending a lot of money. So that's essentially the key. And if you need to buy a car, I'll buy a second-hand one and get a simple one. Don't get a fancy sports car. Warren Buffett says this. He says, I still drive a Lincoln Town Car, which, if you know, in the US, it's a respectable car, but it's not overly expensive. It's still relatively affordable. So I think these are the things that you need to learn. Watch what the billionaires are doing and then follow. All right. So what you spend must commensurate with the amount of money that you make.
Yeah, I mean, such a simple question, right? Like you said, to ask ourselves always, do I really need it, before you actually spend on something? Simple question, but it requires so much discipline, to do that. And that's something that I think we can just, act on it straight away to see that change, in ourselves, so that we start, living a life that's not beyond, what we can afford, so that we start building on that wealth and not just spending excessively. So thank you so much. I mean, that's a whole lot of great advice there. So Dr. Wu, give us a glimpse, okay? You're already so successful. You're deemed as top leader in WorldVenture, whole of Asia is almost all under you. Give us a glimpse of what the near future looks like for you. If you're sitting here a year from now, celebrating what a great year it has been for you, what will that achievement be?
Well, I think on a personal level, I would definitely, financial level, I would want to have made more money within a single calendar year. I would like to have more assets. But what I also realized that being the only one that makes the money is kind of no fun. It doesn't mean anything. Being the only one that makes money means nothing at all. It only means something when you get to go around the world and travel the world and have a fantastic lifestyle with friends. Which basically means, if everyone on my team is not making money, I'm the only making money, I won't be very happy, because then I have no one to go on holiday with and have a fantastic lifestyle with. Back when I started with James and some of the other guys, we had this crazy idea. No, can you imagine one day we built a network of multi-millionaires around the world, and we're like, hey, let's go have lunch in Tokyo, let's have breakfast in Tokyo, lunch in London, and dinner in New York, all within the same day. And I think our true measure of success is how many people will help become successful. Now, again, it sounds really cliche, but it really does matter. I've come the more successful I've become, the more people I've met that knows that we are almost obligated to help other people become successful. That is a mission that all rich and successful people have. Now, you say I'm successful, but the funny thing is, the more successful I've become, the more I realize I'm not as successful as some people I've already met. And there are people out there that are really making obscene amounts of income. That I'm looking at mine, I'm like, wow, I've still got a long way to go. So by no means do I consider myself incredibly successful, because I've seen other people which are very also low profile and incredibly successful. But I think it's one thing that if my team members are not successful, I'm telling you right now, I feel physical pain when I see many of my team members struggling. But sometimes I feel that it's a struggle that they have to go through, so that when you become successful, you know that we really, really need to pay it forward.
Yes.
It's absolutely something we must do.
Wow. So let's make a pact, let's do this call 1 year from today, and then let's celebrate, some amazing stuff that you're going to achieve. We're going to have a whole new different call next year.
Around about June 26, 2018.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll take you on. Yeah, Dr. Wu, I'm serious. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Finally, hate to really end this call, but Dr. Wu, for all of us hustling out there, what is one thing that we can do today and one thing we should do every day?
Well, whatever it is that we are doing right now to build, and then, now specific to WorldVentures, whatever it is that we're doing every day, it's what I call, we have to learn how to discipline our disappointment. Wow. So what I mean by that is this. In right now in WorldVentures, basically there's only 1 or 2 income producing activities, okay, which is number one, attending training events, team calls. That's number one. Number two, actually doing the work of presenting and prospecting your friends and family, which is showing people the information about WorldVentures. Now, along the way, that statistically, not everyone is going to sign up. If you're really good, you get maybe 2 out of 3, maybe 4 out of maybe 10 people who you show this to. 2 to 4 will say yes, or if you're not so good, maybe 1 to 2. And along the way, you'll be disappointed. It is a normal process. I mean, I get disappointed every day, but I detach myself emotionally from the disappointment and says, hey, this is a necessary activity that I need to do. But along the way, you have to be conscious of the fact that, hey, if you are prospecting someone, you're doing the wrong thing, or that person's not signing up, then you got to adjust the next time you go to. So there's a constant thing that you have to do. You have to learn how to discipline the disappointment, adjust as you're doing the thing. Now, as you do the presentation, you will find it gets pretty, I will tell you now, it gets pretty mundane. It gets almost boring. It's the same thing over and over again. And some of you may be doing it for a few years. You're like, oh my God, when is it going to end?
You start counting the gumballs in the video.
Here's the bad news first. Okay, the bad news first. It doesn't end. It just keeps going, because you see, I was thinking to myself, wow, when I make 100 grand a year, I'll be happy. Life is good. And then it didn't happen. Then when I started making, I'll make $1 million a year, and it didn't happen. I look at Matt Morris. He keeps doing the same thing over and over again, but he makes more and more money, and his lifestyle gets better and better and better. It's about doing the same things over and over again until you become successful. And even when you become successful, you keep doing it. Yeah. Example, if I'll just use the example of what's his name, Michael Phelps. If you don't know who he is, he's the most medaled swimmer in Olympic history. Yeah. And actually, if you were to win another gold medal, you just keep pounding the laps in the pool again and again and again. And for the Singaporeans who know, the person who beat him was a guy called Joseph Schooling, who was a Singaporean. And how he beat Michael Phelps was he just did the same thing over, and he did laps and laps. Now, I like to swim myself, and I just did 20 laps in the pool, this afternoon. And I can tell you, doing that 10 laps, 20 laps, 30 laps is really, really boring. But if you're going to have that big physique, you're going to be a good swimmer, you got to do it again and again and again. Ask any professional athlete. The only way to become good at it, you become again and again and again and again. But along the way, you adjust, because you don't want, if you're doing something bad, you don't want to become a habit. So along the way, you got to adjust and make sure you're doing it properly. You got to have the right technique. So it's the same thing with presenting information. You got to make sure that when you present to your prospect, be mindful of what you are doing right, but also be mindful of what you may not be doing right, so that when you come down to the next presentation, you adjust. You find a way to connect with the prospect more, because the information is the same. But how you connect with each prospect makes all the difference in the world. Now, again, I say this, but Even now, I'm still adjusting. I'm still learning. I did a presentation that day. I'm like, maybe I could have done it a bit better. So again, I adjust and I adjust, and it's a constant adjustment. You will never be perfect. You can only become better. I think a lot of people forget the fact that if you screw up one time, you just got to adjust until you become better and better and better. Even Matt Morris will admit to it. Matt Morris, if you don't know, is one of the top income earners in the world. And today, he's still adjusting. He's still constantly being mindful of whether he's doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Hell, even James Lee, I'm sure, does the same thing. You just keep going, and along the way, you adjust and become better. So that's the one thing we can do every day. And it's not about, I'll do it 3 days, then I'll take a 3-day break. No, you do it constantly. I'm still doing it. Today was public holiday. I just did 2 today. They didn't sign up, so it happens even to me. But you just keep going.
So you see, for someone like Dr. Wu, he talks about even having to deal with discouragement and disappointment. Okay, so Dr. Wu is still human, all right? And we all have hope. So let's keep doing that. Discipline the disappointment, something that we can do every day. Okay, repeat. Doing the right thing, the right presentations, and then, but the keyword is adjust. Just adjust until we get it right. Thank you so much, Dr. Wu. I really enjoy doing this call with you. I've gotten so much, despite the fact that, we see you so often in Singapore. And I know for those who hardly see you, for our overseas callers, they must be really grateful. So many notes. I'm taking down so many notes from all that, whatever that you've said. And I'm going to take you on really seriously, 1 year from today.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to do this call. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see, where we are all at in the business and to hear so much more from what you have achieved. So thank you, Dr.
Sure.
And we wish you
Thank you, Glynis.
And all the best, to yourself, to Phoebe, and to, of course, Thaddeus as well. So thank you, Dr. Wu. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so before I end the call, I'd just like to share with all of us the last announcement. Okay. And that is, of course, our upcoming event. We hear from Dr. Wu, where he shares about investing in personal development, spending on things that's going to help you to generate income. So one of our most amazing training that we have, it's a view from the edge. And that's the next one coming up in Hong Kong, 29th of September to 1st of October, 2017. And we have VIP tickets available at $538 and general tickets at $399. Now, this training, unlike all others, okay, it's not one where you sit down and you take notes, but it's done in a very theoretical form. The key actor or the person who's presenting all the plays, is none other than our International Director of Training, Mark Aceta. And every scene, it's going to jolt you. It's going to make you realize something that you have got a blind spot that you've never realized. It's going to set you free. It's going to bring you to that next level. And not just in your business, but if it's in your personal life, in your relationship, your interaction with people, that you are just stuck and you just need something to unclog that. This training is a must for you. And don't just go there, by yourself, but bring your team along. Get as many people as possible. It's a huge event area. We can hold thousands and thousands out there. So please bring your team along. And while the tickets are still available, get them quickly before they are all sold out. So that's all. Sorry, Dr. Yeah.
Hang on. Dennis, I just want to add on this thing. I feel very strongly about training. I know we've gone a bit over time, so guys, please forgive me. I will never forget the first view that I went to in November 2012. Okay, Dennis, you can share that screen. That's a very good slide, actually.
All right.
The importance of investing your time and money correctly. I cannot stress it more than this, because back then, there was only a bunch of, I think, 30 people that went to the view in Nice, France in November 2012, because it was announced that year that we'll bring the first view into Asia in 2013. And we knew we had to